But I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Hills restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
which you've been very vocal about on social media, and it's been in a bunch of news mediums. So if you could just share with everyone, the Hills restaurant is basically a restaurant in Brooklyn, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And basically what I got from your social media, the gist was is that they've been facing a lot of harassment from local entities in different areas of the government, where they've been fined all these crazy fines to the point where it has threatened the existence of the business. I think I saw that it was like almost 100,000 plus in fines that they paid off originally, and now the state liquor authority has wants them to pay 40,000 and require that they pay it within like 40 days, which sounds, that's a lot of money to put the fork over in such a short, span of time. But why do you think this is happening? Do you think it's like with racist intentions? Are they targeting certain businesses in certain communities? Do you have any more insight into that? And I don't know. It's just, to me, I was just like really, with everything going on in our communities, and a lot of people just organizing around things that have been going on from forever. And now we're really just trying to get things changed. Like, where do you think this is stemming from?
Man, this is stemming from the day people decided that they want to steal people from another continent to build a country.
Facts.
Okay, so the Hills restaurant, which is the Hills BK on Instagram, is my mother's baby. Like I said before, my mother started out on a pavement in front of an airport, and she worked her way up. She started when I was a baby. I'm 37, so it gives you an idea of just how long this woman has been grinding. We opened our doors in 2009, so we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. What's been happening is, all these years, everything has been okay.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, when, and my claims are not unfounded, because investigations have happened, research has gone down, and it's become very apparent that the things that the NYPD and the fire department and the state liquor authority have been doing, these things were planned, they were intentional. And what I like about these guys is they do everything by the book. They're very slick. Like, they don't kick down your doors and do anything crazy. So there was one instance where I had to go to court because I had 18 summonses. I had 18 summonses from 2 visits. Now, I had summonses for a fire extinguisher that was installed incorrectly, an exit sign with a dead battery, overcrowding. Police just raided the establishment. And when I was by myself, my mother was in another country, and they pretty much barged in 20 deep, 5 cars outside, sirens, lights, just all this hoopla. And what ends up happening is the people who are driving by, the people who are walking by, they're like, what type of restaurant is that?
Right.
Because typically when you see things like that, it's either a murder or some type of drug raid.
Right.
You don't show up like that to do an inspection. So when they did the inspection, I ended up with all these summonses. And, it's really crazy that I get a summons for overcrowding and you never counted the people. How did you compare the amount of people that were in the restaurants to the amount of people that we're supposed to have in there? No, you did not. So why I say is they do these things by the book is, okay, these summonses are valid, right? But I think a human or a person with a soul would say, this fire extinguisher is supposed to be on a certain type of bracket. You guys fix that. No, you give me a summons, because when I have all of these summonses and I go to the court, although they're BS, even the cops, when they give it to you, they're like, they're going to throw it out in court, but they give it to you because when you go to court, yes, they get thrown out, because even the judge is like, why are these cops wasting my time? everything is thrown out. And mind you, I paid an attorney $2,000 to get me through that process because I had never seen anything like that. And it was intimidating having that many summonses. So we got everything thrown out. And what happens is, even though your summonses are thrown out, even though a judge said, you know what, these things are invalid, what happens is the SLA is still informed that it happens. So then the SLA is like, that's a lot that's going on. You know what? We're gonna mess with you. And that's pretty much what's been going on. And that's why I say they do it by the book, because they know all the little ways of making these things happen to make you look crazy and to put you in compromising positions where you could possibly lose your business.
Wow. So they're gaslighting you guys too.
Absolutely, for sure. And basically what, I've been speaking with people, keeping my ear to the ground and figuring things out. And I don't know if you've ever heard of what happened to La Marina in Washington Heights.
No.
But are you familiar with that establishment?
No, I barely, I don't even think I've been to Washington Heights, to be quite honest.
Well, beautiful, beautiful place. Beautiful restaurant. It's on the waterfront. Just gorgeous. I took my cousin there for her birthday. When we got there, we had to park the car. Listen, I'm fly. I have on this dress, these heels. I get there and we have to walk so far. We had to park so far away and walk back that by the time I left that restaurant, the food was delicious. The ambiance was perfect. It's gorgeous because it's on the water. But I knew that I was never going to go back because, first of all, why am I parking that far when there's mad space in this place where I could park? But it wasn't until 2020 that I found out, listening to an interview with Fernando Mateo, who was the ex-owner. He went on Power 105. You can look that up on Google. And he talked about his experience where they kept coming in and they found a bottle by the door and they put these fines. And when they give you these fines, these are not regular fines. They hit you with these numbers that just make your heart want to stop. So long story short, his establishment was shut down. Now, when I left that place and I was like, I'm never going back, I know I'm representing a bunch of people who will no longer go back because why do I have to walk that far to get to the restaurant? Anyway, found out that the cops were doing that. The city was doing that, just messing that up so people couldn't park nearby. Just all those little petty things they do to throw you off. Now, he lost his business and then it was handed over to people who are a part of this gentrifier clique. So that's what also
I was
happened.
just, I'm really happy you said that because I was like, what reasons would all these entities that control town, village, city, it has to be a strategic reason for this. And I was like, the only thing I was thinking of in my mind, my little conspiracy mind in the back of my head is like, well, the only thing I could think of is that they're trying to get people who are owning their buildings or owning their property out of their property by whatever means, by finance, by making it impossible for them to afford, so that they can then take that property and then sell it. It's almost like a new form of stealing. Like it's really crazy. Good on, it looks good on paper.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. They, these forces, I can't put a face or a name on them, but I can't say, hey, the police is trying to get rid of us. No, the police is taking orders from somebody.
Somebody on top. Yeah, it's high level.
Absolutely. And you know what happens? A lot of people lose their businesses. I attended a town hall meeting with the mayor of nightlife. I'm not sure if you knew there's a mayor of nightlife who, her name is Ariel Pallet. She focuses on nightlife establishments and all of the different things that we go through. Now they did a tour, a nightlife tour, where they went from borough to borough listening to the issues. Now I stood up and I spoke, and basically my question was, there was a panel of a bunch of leaders. the head of the FDNY, NYPD, 311, SLA, everybody was there, Department of Buildings, everyone. And my question was, if you feel like an establishment could improve, if you feel like maybe we're not doing business on a perfect scale, why not call me, or why not call my mother and have a conversation with us, or have a meeting with us and say, listen, we think this is happening. How can we rectify it? Why would you show up with 20 cops over and over? This wasn't one time. This was probably 20 times this happened over the past 4 years, 3 years. And why would you show up and make it look like a raid and then discourage people who might want to be our potential customers? Why do you do it like that? And after that, there was so much press. So many different people approached me, and I started speaking with different people. And then a hearing came up. A few local politicians stepped up, and they pretty much did the work, and a law was passed that makes it absolutely mandatory that when cops show up to do that specific thing, they have to have accountability. They have, because normally they don't even tell you why they're there. They just
Right.
show up, kick your customers out. The customers lose their food, their drinks, and then they're standing outside for 3 hours, 2 hours, waiting to come back in. At that point, we can't even open back up.
Yeah, that's
And
really disruptive. Yeah. And you're losing money. That's ridiculous.
so
Yeah.
it's not just the money situation, but it's been very traumatizing.
Yeah.
And when you have a lot of that going on, SLA then says, you know what, we're going to take your liquor license because you're irresponsible.
Wow.
So they suspended our liquor license, and we had maybe 10 different people, political people, just powerful people in general, write letters on our behalf. And then they were like, all right, we're going to give you your license back, but it's going to cost you $40,000 and you have to pay this within 40 days.
So why did they, is this a fine for them suspending the looking license? Or I don't understand why they now say you have to pay this. I don't get where this number is coming from.
Nobody gets where this number is coming from.
They're just pulling numbers out the wazoo.
Nobody ever understands why these numbers are so high. And you won't have two businesses. And that's a really great point.
It's black tax. That's what it is.
What's the black tax? 39,000? Because you might go to court for an overcrowding summons, and then they charge you $10,000 for that.
Wow.
And you can ask anyone in nightlife, especially nightclubs, who have had issues like that. They'll tell you that a whole lot of their monies go to fines and summonses and things of that sort. So we pay the $40,000. We were able to come up with it because we have a super loyal customer base who keeps showing up and buying food. We raised the money, and girl, let me tell you, I think I was at Ascension in LA with Queen Afua, and my mom called and she said, we got the license back. And in the middle of my Ascension, I had to leave and go into a corner and cry like a baby. Like I was just bawling, not even because I was happy to have the license back, is because you're being dragged.
Yeah.
And it's like, for what? So that somebody can come and have a property in the neighborhood and get rich?
Yeah.
Really? That's what you're doing? So we paid the $40,000, we got the license back, and then they were like, you know what? Now that you have your license back, you have to close 3 hours early.
Why?
That's just the stipulations, because they're in charge.
Yeah, they have too much control, too much power. Because it's like, who's governing? And I'm thinking out loud here. Where's the checks and balance for that agency? So, and I like that you mentioned that politicians got involved. I think one of them was Eric Adams.
Well,
right?
Eric Adams recently got involved because this story got to him, and he did the research, he did the investigation, and he sees on paper how the number of raids in the Black and brown communities is completely different from other communities.
Yeah.
You know,
which
and
is
I would tell you, not
racist.
calling any
Yeah.
names, like my whole 20s, I was on the nightlife scene in Manhattan. And let me tell you, that's all I'm going to say.
Wow.
All I'm going to say is those clubs, there's a lot going on in there that we would never do.
We never
And
get
those
away with
guys,
it.
they're just sailing through with all of that. So
And they could be paying people off too.
that happens.
Yeah.
We've been asked that. I've had people ask, like, do you pay them? I'm like, we're not paying anybody to run business a normal way. Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, I know that a lot of people, and you know, I have this conversation with my friends, especially with being involved with voting, and I'm glad that I know Eric, I guess, got wind of your story, but this is another reason why, you know, these people put in office, you should go to those people to, you know, help advocate for you because, you know, of course you voted them in. But there's another side to like a lot of the things that get moving in New York and other cities, major cities, and just in general with politics. It's like, it's really just, it's about money. So if you have the money, you could get major things done. You know, it's not always this fair, even playing of like, oh, you voted for this and this, and then you get a result. It really is about like putting money out there, lobbying and whatnot. And I think as people of color, we should be a lot more aware of that as well, and pooling our money together to get the change that we want to see. Because we're definitely, I honestly believe that you guys were being targeted for that exact reason. It's to get you out of there and probably just key up the location for someone else.
That's absolutely what's going on.
Yeah. So how can we help you guys? I know I saw that there's a GoFundMe right now. So what, besides, you guys are fundraising for 20,000, right? So how else can we help you and your family and the Hill succeed? Is there anything else that we can do? Should we share this information with our friends and family?
Yeah, for sure. The first thing that I will say is the people who have already been supporting, thank you guys so much. And it's not even necessarily that people make purchases, although that's ideal. When people send you, you know, I just before I got on this show, a friend of mine said, hey, I just saw something that a video on Facebook. I had no idea that was going on. Even stuff like that, you know. And I think people also see what other people are going through and they turn the blind eye. I'm not really sure where this mindset comes from,
Yeah.
but you know, that happens a lot where we see people struggling and we feel like, okay, that's their problem. Actually, no, it's your problem, because if we are a group of 60 women and 5 of our women are weak, we're a weak group. As opposed to a group of 60 people and 60 of them are good, they're a stronger group. So
Right.
don't think for one second that if one of us is a broken chain, that the whole link is, if one link is broken, that the whole chain is still intact. No, one
Right.
broken link is a damaged chain, period. Yes, there is a GoFundMe, and you can just go on GoFundMe and look up Help the Hills Stay Open, or type in the Hills Restaurant. We are raising funds because not only the moment we came out of this, of course, we never recovered from the first time something happened. It's been like a triple digit amount of fines. So in terms of dollar amount, but then the 40,000 came at the end, and we haven't even recovered from the beginning, and then the pandemic happened.
Right.
So
you just guys getting hit, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So guys, I'm going to definitely drop the link to the GoFundMe on this post. It's going to be, so just check down in the description. You'll see a link to that as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And
yeah,
buy some food, get a water, say.
I'm definitely going to do that. We're going to pull up, me and I are going to pull up, get some food. And I'm going to donate on behalf of Raven Mayhills as well. Because I'm a believer in, you know, you can't like promote something and then not take action yourself. So I'm going to help you guys out. So thank you for sharing that story about the Hills and what your mom has, shout out to your mother and all the work she has done. I really commend her, being an immigrant coming to this country, building something from nothing and really grinding and working your way up. Definitely honorable. That's what, I want to share. This is the reason why I have Raven Maven, is to share stories like this, to show our people that we can do all things and that we could overcome all things if we stick together. So I definitely, shout out to your mom, and she, send my love, and support. But I want to switch gears a little bit, because that story did make me a little sad, but I want to talk about the Nola Ro Experience podcast launching tomorrow.
Yeah, here's the thing though. It's definitely a challenging experience, but because of this experience, we've been able to connect with people that we were never able to connect with before.
Right.
We ended up learning about the economy, about society, about systemic racism. So even within the challenges, there are silver linings. So I appreciate having to go through that to learn everything that I'm learning. And then my life isn't all, challenges and drama. We also have the Nola Ro Experience podcast, which is launching tomorrow. And I am super excited because, listen, I have things to say.
Yeah. So what is your vision for your podcast? Like, what can people expect to hear from you on this new venture?
Well, my vision is, I think it's very important that our voices resonate around this planet. I think the people who don't always have great intentions, they've been running things for a long time, okay? Yeah. And it's time for the people who, our community is all about love, period. That's how we met, okay? Yeah. And that's the type of DNA that we have. We're loving people. And I feel like we need to offset this thing that's been happening on the planet. And obviously it's happening. Like, there's so many people protesting. I'm super proud of that. But the Nola Ro Experience podcast is open discussion about a variety of things based on my experiences, based on your experiences. We swap insight. You teach me, I teach you. We probably debate a little bit. I've already had people throwing shade, like, it happens. And I'm here for it because I love my community. I love interacting with people. And I think that nothing can really happen without a conversation happening first. So the Nola Ro Experience podcast is a conversation starter, and then whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. But let's start talking first.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited, guys. By the time this episode of Raven Man drops, it will be out already. So Nola Ro podcast would have launched. So I will, definitely drop links to that as well. So, congratulations on your new endeavors. I'm super excited. I guess I just want to close on a closing question. Nola, what would you like to share because, Raven Maven, we're Blacker than ever. We're here. This content that I create is for our people. So what would be any words of wisdom or encouragement that you would like to share from your own personal experience?
Well, my personal experience, girl, listen, where do I start? There's so many angles, and that's why this podcast is so important and so good, because I am a little skinny Black girl who was born in a small house in a small village, delivered by a midwife to a 19-year-old mother. Then I moved to America at age 10. Listen, I was molested at 4. I was molested at 7. I've gone through all types of abuse with boyfriends, and then found insight, found strength, and found power to always triumph. And I think being able to always go this way is what makes our conversations important. And if any type of conversation that pops up that's important, or a lot of times we don't want to tune in when it sounds too important, right? Because we want to always be on the ratchet side. I would say once in a while, tune into things that are important, because really every time you ignore something that's meant for you to listen to, you set us back a little bit. Just take a little bit of time to do that. And that's what the podcast is about too. We get ratchet, we get deep, we get silly, we get crazy. It's everything in one. It's for everybody, really. But spread love. That's always the bottom line. No matter what we're talking about, the message is always spread love. And that means don't be petty. You know, if you have a piece of bread and somebody's starving, give them a little bit. You know, you don't have to give them the whole thing. Like, nothing is going to happen to you if you eat a little bit less. And I mean, when I say bread, I don't mean the actual food. I mean money, opportunities, resources. If I
Right.
ask you, you know, where did you get that? You can share that. You're not going to lose out because you're giving me a piece of the pie. There are 8 billion people on this planet. There's enough customers for everybody. So
We
share,
all can
share,
eat.
share. We can all eat, and we can all eat and get full.
Yes. And have seconds.
Seconds and thirds. So just spread love, stick together, guys. And you know what? I have so many crazy conversations in my DMs because my friends on social media, they all know that if they hit me up, we can talk. So
Right.
if you want to have a conversation, if you want to tell me, listen, I think you can improve a little bit on that. I want that. I want you to give me constructive criticism because I want to get better. So, you know, spread love in that way too. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. So, Nola, where can we find you on social media? And we're gonna pull it all together, guys.
Well, you know what? I have so many pages, but if you go to whatever Nola wants, all correct spelling, whatever Nola wants, all of my links are on that page.
Great. So Nola, thank you again for being a guest on our show. I really appreciate you sharing your story and being very transparent. I think the things that you're talking about is the things that our community needs to talk about and hear, and to just, you know, and thank you for being an example and showing that through everything you've been through, good and bad, that the triumph and the beauty in it all. I think we all forget that even with adversity, there's still, you know, like you said, a silver lining, there's beauty in that. So thank you again for just being part of Raven Maven and being a maven, because you embody what a maven is. And guys, if to wrap it all up, I just want to say, you know, thank you for watching Raven Maven and supporting us. And we will continue to have riveting and exciting interviews like this one. So if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe to our channel. And yeah, check out our new website, ravenmavenshow.com. And thank you. It's a wrap.
I love it.